This Valentine landmine is not mine. This once voiceless secret tale of what was meant to be good, gone wrong. My woman, mother's heart reaches out to you, and I weep and beseech you to speak up. You are not alone. For the lost boys. Not for pink marshmallows these green and tender limbs, but rather half-hitched and reefed in nameless bundles waiting for the fire. As the compass is box scouting out the path, box is the compass that leads the follower to follow the leader in a twisted scavenger hunt, trampling the broken chute. To learn the skills that kills innocence, where appearances are kept for appearance's sake. Straighten that scarf, boy. It chokes Peter Pan. Hush now, be a man. And the swallowed tears and shame lay blame where blame should not lie, but it does lie and hides behind honoring the boy by giving small rewards of bright threads in dizzying circles. Friend of the forest, friend of the elderly, friend of the birds, but it is the boy who needs a friend. Hush now, be a man. How to be a man and do manly things the way no man should become? Or is this what a man needs be? In a position of authority, untouchable? Attention, commands. Yet other demands shout, ignore this, pay no mind. The whistle blows, but no one blows the whistle. Silence. Let us pray. And heads would bow with open eyes, afraid to close them tight. What would Jesus say for these boys? Pray they are. Knowing they've been sold down the river, they know the waters where the animals gathered, lathered and sweating to drink at the virgin stream. Plaster footprints cast in tin can hoop souvenirs haunt them, taunt them. There's no tracks here, you're mistaken, you lie. Hush now, be a man. The camping trips for boys of concrete jungles who never knew the feel of grass beneath their feet smile and sing as evening closes in to wrap them in exhaustion. Only fresh air can bring. Fire's out. A hissing steam reaches for the stars. Lights out. Time to turn in. We got a busy day tomorrow. Snickering zippers echo secret whispers in the dead of night. Hush now, be a man. The lessons learned that be prepared means be ensnared, watching, waiting for the next time. Knowing a predator's at large and those in charge won't cage him, just stage him with another group, another troop, who may not have read the blacklist they sent to someone else in charge, patting themselves on the back for having done their part. A paper peace, not the police, was not enough to do what was right. They failed in their duty to God, Queen, and country. By aiding and abetting, they were merely betting. It would stop. Hush now, be a man. And as it stands, they wash their hands, denying they didn't do enough, denying they failed to protect the boys whose lives are a living hell. But what are the others? The trampled shoots that never recovered or discovered. It wasn't their fault. Whose drilled in loyalty bounds them, yet hounds them to never tell a soul. Now turn to think of the hockey rink, the dreams of greatness, the gold, the NHL, seen within the grasp of boys who can barely skate a lap. At night they see the spotlight bright as they raise their daydream sticks after scoring the winning goal in. He shoots, he scores, the crowd goes wild, and with a gentle smile, sleep enfolds him. Dawn comes soon and parents groan. It's your turn to take him, to drop him off, unknowingly throwing him to the wolves. Hush now, be a man. You need to know the hockey coach is a cocky roach who knows just what he is doing. He knows how to prep the boys and earn the parents' trust. There's no way they could have known about him. He knows the skills to use, whom to choose. He knows how to get the boy to love him, the way only a boy can love a man who befriends him with a corrupted love that bends him to his will. The ruffled hair and butt slaps of encouragement now make the boy wince and cringe. You're my special friend. Never tell a soul. Hush now. Be a man. Frozen truths beneath cold, fluorescent lights are flooded away by the Zamboni that removes the obvious scars, denies them, hides them, among giggling boys who find loud farts hilarious. It's nefarious, the damage that is done. The hockey gold has turned to mold just like the molded casts belonging to uniform brothers, the others whose wonderful, hopeful, marvelous dreams were replaced by nightmares of a storage space which haunts the boy and taunts the man he wants to be every single day. Of how unuttered, twisted understandings imply, it's my fault he hurt me. How is this possible? And every day that hockey kit bag of 40 pounds of gear that used to make him stagger is a dagger to his soul. You see, he's no longer whole because of what was stolen. In his soul is a greater hole of blame and shame and guilt. Hush now, be a man. Men they are, these silent boys who were toys left broken in a discarded box, gathering dust in storage. Oh, don't make me go there again. Take the nets, the balls, the chairs. That's a boy. You're a big help. Embarrassed by the acquiescence that makes no sense to them, hammering their self-esteem. Why didn't I fight him? Why didn't I say no? They ask with profound grief and confusion, forgetting they weighed in at 63 pounds, only a slip of a boy who slipped on the ice, and the one who fouled them, betrayed them, was a hefty 263, a man grown. These boymen grown into the silent night. How could I be so dumb to have done what I've done and not stopped it, not understanding? They were groomed and attuned to the needs of their abuser. It's not their fault. Still, even late in life, they remain afraid that someone might hear, might know of their pain, their weakness, beating themselves to a bloody pulp because they are not real men. A real man would never have stood for it. But here's $1 to get yourself a treat for having been good for it. Hush now, be a man. I'll kill you if you ever tell a soul. Can you imagine how scared they were to hear a threat that will paralyze them in terror for the rest of their lives? What if someone should find out accidentally? It wasn't meant to be known I'm a dead man. But not realizing I am the man trapped in the soul of the boy who was terrorized and brutalized and still sleeps with one eye open, hoping this never-never-land nightmare would end, nevertheless waiting for someone to speak up, to raise their voice and scream of the injustice on their behalf so they can believe this. It's not about homosexuality or identity or having taken it. It's about who has power and who is in control. Hush now, be a man. It's just this. Whirlpool swirls that cloud the truth are stirred up by the homophobes, the public probes and the trial of denial, facing off against the first one to come forward, and as a forward he ends up playing defense. There's something wrong with this picture, and it's not just conjecture about what really happens when a man blows the whistle, when a man wants the penalties for personal fouls to be served. This has got to change. But there's one good thing about organized groups, about learning to work together and the power that lay in numbers to overpower and outnumber this foe. Teammates will rally for the win, and sadly this doesn't mean a gathering of hockey buds or soccer buds or even the flag football team you belong to in grade 6, but a far larger and more exclusive group that should never exist, but does. However, like those few scouts, now the word is out, you men must gather in numbers to shock the world from its complacency. Now you see, the cry must be raised with one masked voice of husbands, brothers and sons, of uncles, of grandfathers, and yes, the broken alcoholic cousin and drug user father will add their voice to yours in a roar no one can ignore any longer. We are not alone. You never were. dear heart. And the grief with which this tale is told has no end. But there can be an end, I mean, and a good end despite all that has happened. I know, I've been there, just across the street from you. It starts by telling one person about what was done to you. And may God bless your journey and help the rest of us to be aware and really care about what can take place under our noses, in our homes, our rinks, our schools, and yes, in our church. Because the one common theme of abusers that lurch in the depths of the darkness is 99.9% of the time they've been there too, on the receiving end. This isn't an excuse, and it does not reduce their accountability. It's just a heartbreaking comment that the only way they believe their pain will end is to hurt someone else by paying it forward, by playing it forward, regardless of the cost they are all too familiar with. Statistically, 1 in 4 women will experience some kind of sexual abuse in their lifetime. I believe it is much higher, but like the men, we also have a code that binds us and keeps us silent. Why didn't I say no? So you see what I mean when I say to you men, we understand. There are only vague statistics about the boys because of the code of manhood. Although I don't know who was the author of either code, they just simply are implicit in their authority that keeps us from being free. So learn the signs of sexual abuse. Learn about the lifelong impact such horrific acts can birth. Maintain an open dialogue with your children and your teens. They are not immune. Speak to them clearly in words they understand about what is right or wrong. Know that police checks only work if someone has told the police about Uncle Tom or Mrs. Robinson. Be prepared. The puck has dropped.